Let us come together, work together. Let our minds be in harmony. Let us work in agreement, just as our ancient sages and all our forebears worked with such unity, such equality and such equanimity. With all the love, light and peace of my heart. नमस्ते मेरे प्यारे आर्य परिवार, मैं स्वामी वेदानंद सरस्वती हूँ, दक्षिण अफ्रीका के स्पिरिचुअल हेड, दक्षिण अफ्रीका आर्य समाज, and it gives me great honor and pleasure to set foot where the Arya Samaj first landed on the continent of Africa. ये भी आर्य समाज Nairobi. An Arya Samaj that was started by those who came to lay the railway tracks almost 121 years ago. Those who came with nothing, those who came with only an attachment to Bharat, but due to their attachment to Dharma, due to their knowledge of the Arya Samaj and Vedic Dharma, created a society, created an institution and created a united family that would serve society dharmically. That today we celebrate more than a century of Vedic Dharma in this beautiful country. A Vedic Dharma that has served not only the people of Kenya, not only the education of its children, but brought to this land yajna, brought to this land havan, brought to this land so much more that has been revealed by Swami Vedanand Saraswati ji. More than 120 years ago, we will be this weekend going to lay the foundation stone of where the first havan had taken place by those who were laying the railway tracks in fear of not knowing what was surrounding them, what troubles would come to them. How would they have known that 121 years later they would have built a family, an institution and a society that would thrive in this African nation, this beautiful African nation. Our Vedic missionaries brought so many people to inculcate the Vedic value system that would change the political landscape, make policies that would ensure the success of people in this country. And not only did they lay the foundations of Kenya, not only would they lay the foundations here in its capital Nairobi and influence decision-making policies, add to the economy of the country, add to the moral fiber of this beautiful nation, but has ventured down through the rest of the African countries, particularly in Mauritius and in South Africa. We pay tribute to our forefathers who have given us educational systems, educated our people so that we may not only survive in our country home outside of Bharat, but also thrive as a nation, to be able to contribute to this beautiful landscape, to be able to show us the importance of social and cultural cohesion, working with our sisters and brothers of different cultural and linguistic backgrounds. The Arya Samaj has given reasoning and given logic to all that we do as a Hindu society, to be able to ensure that our mantras resonate with teaching us a basic value system that enables us to share these values with our African sisters and brothers in this country. So much so that today we share a bond. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam, and the concept of Ubuntu, a concept of shared African values that show a deep cultural heritage of Indian cultural heritage and African cultural heritage. That here in the heart of Africa, in Kenya, you will find no difference between Indian and African, but through the values of the Arya Samaj, a shared cultural heritage. Whether it be through Ayurveda, whether it be through the chanting of Havan mantras, or whether it be through the African cultural heritage, We share a bond that has united us. Swami Dayanand Ji had a mission. The Arya Samaj and his fight in Bharat was only the example for the liberation of a mindset that would save a nation from colonial rule, that would save and would liberate a mindset that would suppress cultural identity. Swami Dayanand gave us a blueprint for universal liberation through the universal values of the Vedas and through the 10 principles of the Arya Samaj, which applies to every person of every linguistic background, every cultural background. Here in this land of Kenya, with the immense work done by the Arya Pratanati Sabha of East Africa, by the Arya Samaj Nairobi, the oldest Arya Samaj institution, it has carried those 10 principles through the fabric of society, through the fabric of carrying its educational ideals, seva ideals, and political and economical ideals as well. We pay tribute to the officials, leaders and members of the Arya Samaj Nairobi for continuing the 121 years of hard work of instilling such a value system in this beautiful society. Trickling right down to the Arya Samaj of Mauritius and eventually the Arya Samaj of South Africa and all the other Girmitya Arya Samaj institutions and communities. We have continued to ensure that the Arya Samaj ideals, values and principles thrive in a universal aspect throughout the world, sourced in Bharat, but flowered and bloomed in nations across the world. That today the Arya Samaj is not just Indian bound or Hindi bound, but the Arya Samaj and its principles, its Vedic principles of universality have reached the hearts and minds of every community, have reached the hearts and minds of every linguistic group. Now, 120 years later, 121 years later, whilst we celebrate the 121st anniversary of the Arya Samaj Nairobi, whilst we celebrate 200 years of the birth of our Rishi, Maharishi Vedanand Saraswati Ji, and next year the 150 years since the foundation of the Arya Samaj movement, our question and our mission is, where to from here? What is the next 200 years? What is the next 150 years? How do we ensure that our voice, our universal powerful voice as a Vedic mission reaches the stage of the United Nations, reaches a much more global impact to show the relevance of the Arya Samaj in the 21st century? Swami Dayanand was a social revolutionary leader. Swami Dayanand fought to reform society and to be able to approach its challenges in whatever century based on universal values and universal solutions. As an Arya Samaj, we remain ever more relevant today. As an African nation, as an African continent, we have so many challenges. Challenges upon which the Vedas have provided us with solutions that we are able to overcome. But the question is, how do we consolidate ourselves? How do we communicate more so that our voice as an Arya Samaj outside of India has a more powerful impact to ensure much greater cultural and social cohesion between us and all the communities that we live in harmony with? When it comes to challenges of the 21st century, those challenges do not discriminate between the language you speak, the culture you belong to, or the geographic location that you belong to. Most important, my friends, is that whilst the challenges do not discriminate, who are we to discriminate between who we help, who we overcome with? The Vedas says, Manur Bhavajanaya Devyam Janam, O man, be human and create a society of divine enlightened beings. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuta Vadanti, God the truth is one. The wise call that truth by many names. The Arya Samaj's slogan, Krinvanto Vishvam Aryam, make the whole world noble. Every one of those 10 principles that Swami Dayanand Ji created for us as the blueprint of the Arya Samaj is our humanity blueprint, our universal blueprint for social change, ensuring that every human being is liberated, that they are not suppressed or oppressed in any way. Therefore, our question is, how do we take the principles of the Arya Samaj and ensure that we as a universal nation, combat the challenges of the 21st century using the eternal Vedic principles. This is our mission and this is our commitment. It's not what Samaj can do for us, but what we can do for Samaj. Our challenge, 150 years later, is to bring back the moral fabric to our youth, to inculcate and strengthen youth leaders, and to ensure that we grow and that we empower all our citizens. Arya Samaj worldwide, and Arya Samaj is not a particular community. Swami Vedanand said, if you are committed to social reform, if you are committed to the liberation of mankind, then you belong to the Arya Samaj, a society of noble-minded people who have committed themselves to social liberation. It is about taking those Havan mantras and putting every mantra into practice. Not just talking, not just reciting, but mantra into action, spirituality into action. The sixth principle of the Arya Samaj, the prime objective of the Arya Samaj, is to do good to the world, to ensure the physical, spiritual and social well-being of every individual. This is our mission. India was the example. The world now needs us. The world needs to see the relevance of the Arya Samaj, and we have every opportunity and we have all the resources to do that. We reflect back on the oldest institution whose grounds I'm sitting on today, the Arya Samaj of Nairobi. And today we celebrate that the African continent has been blessed with the mission and the message of the Vedas 120 years later. How do we ensure that every one of our sisters and brothers on this beautiful continent and globally speaking are entrenched with the message of the Vedas? And it takes us all from strength to strength to ensure the strength of our future for our future generations. This is our mission. Let us take the mission of Swami Vedanand forward and march together. As says the final concluding message of the Rig Veda, Om Sankachadvam Samvadhadvam Samvo Mananse Janatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us come together, work together. Let our minds be in harmony. Let us work in agreement, just as our ancient sages and all our forebears worked with such unity, such equality and such equanimity. With all the love, light and peace of my heart, Arya Samaj Amar Rahe. Om Shanti.